What's up out there, this Ray? I got a crazy story about how I ended up swapping wives with my best friend. Now, it didn't quite go like that, and it wasn't voluntary, but it happened. See, me and my friend Doug go way back to high school, when we was really wild and crazy, getting into trouble and doing all kinds of stuff we wasn't supposed to. And anyways, I met this chic Shauna. And she had a friend named Kiki. And then I hooked Kiki up with Doug, and we all started hanging out, and it wasn't nothing serious at first. I mean, Kiki and Shauna kind of had a reputation for being party girls. They had dated quite a few of the popular guys at school. Me and Doug was messing with a lot of girls too, but that's what guys do. Y'all women should do as us men say, not what we do. So me and my guy couldn't get serious with Shauna and Kiki. Matter of fact, we shared them in the beginning. I would sometimes mess with Shauna, and sometimes I would hook up with Kiki, and the same for Doug. Me and him was okay with sharing girls. We didn't fight over women. But over time, things changed. I ended up getting into a big fight with my mom over money. I hadn't even graduated from high school, and I was working full-time at a restaurant gig to pay bills and support my mom. She had suffered a heart attack 5 years ago and had been unable to work. My mom never made a lot of money. She was a waitress before all this. So, as the only man of the house, I felt I had to step up to improve our situation. I never knew who my dad was, so I didn't have a male role model. One day she asked to borrow $200 after I had just paid all the bills. I said no, and my mom went crazy about it. She ended up putting me out of the house. I didn't know where to go, so I called Shauna. I didn't call Kiki because I knew her home situation wasn't somewhere I would be welcome, since she lived with her father, and he wasn't a nice dude. Shayna lived with her mom, and her mom was real cool, the type of adult to buy beer for her daughter's friends. I asked Shayna, could I crash over there till I figured it out, and her mom said yes. So that's how me and Shauna ended up married, and Doug stayed with Kiki, and they got married. We would get together and hang out for couples date night. We all just fell into this comfortable friendship circle. I know y'all probably think this arrangement was awkward because we had been with each other's girls, but it wasn't. We respected one another's new relationships. We never brought up what we did in the past. Fast forward 10 years later, and we're all still married. Me and Shauna have a 7-year-old daughter. But Kiki and Doug never had children. Kiki was a dancer and didn't want a child tying her down and messing up her figure. Doug wasn't happy about it. He wanted a son real bad. We all were still close, spent a lot of time together. It was one get-together where we really let loose. The girls were drunk and high out of their minds. Me and Doug was sloppy drunk too. Well, this night got crazy because Kiki started dancing on me all seductive and sexy. Then Shauna sat on Doug's lap and watched Kiki dance for me. It was like we had jumped into a different reality. We ended up having sex with each other's wives that night. I won't lie. Being with Kiki that night was so exciting, and everything about that girl just turned me on. The next morning, we all met up in the living room and tried to act like everything was normal. I told Doug and Kiki that I would talk to them later, and me and Shauna went home. Things were hella awkward between me and Shauna for a while after that. I wanted to talk about what happened, but then what could I say? Hey, wife, did you enjoy being with my best friend this time? Was he better than he was 10 years ago? Nah, I just avoided the topic. We didn't hang out with Doug and Kiki for a while. I finally got the nerve up to invite Doug out for a drink. I needed to talk about what happened. And where do we go from here? Doug seemed real happy to see me. He rambled on about his job, working at the hospital, and all the fine co-workers that wanted him there. He talked about how Kiki was putting her job before their relationship, coming home late, and never cooking for him. I asked him flat out how did he feel about that night? Us being with each other's woman? He said he wasn't mad, it was a fun experience, and he could never be mad at me for enjoying his wife. I said, yeah, but things are different now from high school. We all live different lives now. We married with kids and responsibilities. He didn't agree and felt like as long as we don't let things get out of control, everything would be fine. Get out of control. I told him that was the last time that was gonna happen. He was like, oh, okay. He looked disappointed, but I didn't care. My family was important to me. My wife wasn't gonna be hooking up with my best friend. That night happened, but no more. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't want to be with Kiki again. Man, she was exciting and funny and rebellious and crazy, but I love my wife. And if it meant she would be with Doug, then it wasn't worth it. I had 10 years invested in Shauna, and I wasn't gonna just loan her out like a library book. She might not be as exciting as Kiki, but she was loyal and dependable. She was there for me when my mom kicked me out. She gave me a beautiful daughter. I was out shopping for clothes one day when I ran into Kiki. We made small talk about this and that. Suddenly, Kiki blurted out that my daughter might not be my kid. I'm like, what is you talking about? She says that Doug started back sleeping with Shayna behind our back 7 years ago. She found out when she looked through Doug's old emails one day. She never told Doug she saw the emails because she had been cheating on him too. She decided to keep the information to herself to use later on. I couldn't believe my ears, so Shauna had been sneaking around behind my back. I thought we was better than that. Kiki said we should hook up sometimes too. She enjoyed her time with me and would love to see me alone. I told her I would be giving her a call and I left. Now I'm not dumb. I knew when I decided to marry Shauna that I knew her reputation. I knew me and Doug had enjoyed her. But she was such a sweet, pleasant girl. It was hard to imagine her being sneaky. I felt like we was friends. She could have told me she wanted to slut around. I was cheating too, but not with Kiki. At least I kept my stuff discreet. And could I blame Doug? Yeah, I could, because I wanted Kiki all this time. But I chose to respect him. He had proven to be untrustworthy. I decided to get my daughter a DNA test behind Shayna's back. I wanted to know the truth. I decided to act normal and keep what I had found out to myself. There was only one thing I could do in this situation, which is leave this skank alone. And yeah, I'm on the fence about how to deal with Doug. I was planning on meeting up with Kiki so we could talk about how to deal with Shauna and Doug. I'm sure there won't be much talking though if you get my drift. But if word ever gets out about me and Kiki, I'm sure Doug would be mad. He'd been with Kiki for 10 years. He can talk all that fake stuff, but I knew he loved her. Shauna was all over me when I got home. I had to pretend I wasn't pissed off, which I was. Suddenly, her face wasn't as pleasant and innocent. That was just a role she played to throw you off her scent. And as you blindly eat her delicious food and bask in her gentle voice and soft touch, she is secretly poised to strike and tear your heart in two. I really didn't like her anymore. But I pushed through being fake, and we ate and watched movies. When it came time for bed, I made sure to let her know I was tired so she didn't ask me to make love. She seemed a little upset, but rolled over and went to sleep. Finally, the moment of truth had arrived. I got an email with my daughter's DNA test results, and she was not my kid. I was stunned. I never, not once ever doubted my daughter was mine. I spent a lot of money on my daughter. I loved her, and I still love her, and it's not her fault that her mom was a piece of trash. I wanted to tear the whole house up. But what was that going to solve? Nothing. I knew the truth. But now what? I called Kiki up for an emergency get-together. I needed to talk to her, get some advice. Plus, I could use some of that good love and she has to give to me behind Doug's back and in secret. And we talked and laughed and got drunk and high as a kite. And I looked into her eyes and knew that she was the one for now. She was going to work for right now. I was about to rock Shayna's world and not in a good way. I just needed time to put my plans together. I kept quiet in the meantime, picked up extra shifts at work, started saving money. played the loving husband and father to Shauna and her daughter. So yeah, I was hip to all the lies and secrets and was ready to rid myself of 2 lying pieces of trash and put my life back in order. I'll fill you in on all that goes down next in part 2. Until then, thanks, and see you soon.